Yeah, first up, we're gonna work on the sort of dips for your for this mezze. Yeah, we really wanted to showcase like three very like contrasting like textural things. So the first up, we're gonna make a dip out of this aubergine. Hopefully you've all got a roasted aubergine. We're gonna take the flesh from the aubergine, so top and tail, and then split it lengthways.
Nice one. And so for the if anyone to get the instructions, this is an aubergine that we can do this later. We'll send through all the details about it. So it's been roasted, high oven for
aubergine 220 degrees for half an hour roughly, and you want it to be saggy in the middle. It needs to be very soft.
Great.
So yeah, we're scraping the flesh out.
Love aubergine. So have you gone for aubergine for the texture then?
Yeah, well, I think it has quite a slippery, unctuous texture, and this particular dip, we're going very oil heavy on it. We're using a nice peppery olive oil. Yeah, we're warming it through. I mean, obviously this flesh contains an awful lot of juice, and we're cooking it slowly with quite a hefty amount of oil. And the idea is that as the juice evaporates, it will make an emulsion with if you keep stirring it, it'll make an emulsion with the oil that's in the pan. And it's when you get this emulsion that you get this really glossy texture in your mouth.
Lovely.
And we're going to couple that with, we'll flavor it with smoked paprika. So it'll have it should have a smoke, for those that can detect it, you'll have a smoke, like a smoky sensation, but hopefully really like slippery, like silky mouthfeel as well.
Lovely. Fantastic.
Aubergine essentially, it behaves quite like a sponge, so it sucks in flavor, but it also sucks in textures as well. So some of that paprika, because it's a dust as well, that's going to be sucked into the aubergine, and you should hopefully be able to feel that on your tongue and in your mouth. So
it looks quite an extreme amount of oil, but yeah, it's all part of the dish. And if some oil splits out of it at the end, that's okay too.
Great.
And so we're going to roughly chop that aubergine. Doesn't need to be finely chopped. And then we'll add that to the pan.
Harry, are you able to put your phone into portrait? There it is. Great. We've got a much bigger picture. It's just kicked in. That's much better. A question in from Sarah saying, did you make this one when you lost your sense of smell? Is this one of the ones you tried?
Sorry, was that for me?
No, Sarah was just asking, did you make this one? Is this one of the ones you made when you lost your sense of smell?
No, not. It wasn't, but it's something that I guess it is a dish that I've picked that I felt kind of represented lots of different textures and sensations.
Thank you.
I think the main thing that Stuart and I spoke about when we were talking about losing our sense of taste and smell was like, what did you get out of food? As somebody I saw here that somebody said literally eat to survive. I lost my appetite completely. And I found that eating certain foods felt I was hyper aware of the texture and the senses. And what we're trying to do is try and find foods that are quite clearly textural led and have a contrast between textures as well that might be easier to pick out kind of elements of, whether it be heat, spice, savory as well, a touch of sweetness. But by no means are we thinking that this food you should be able to pick it out. If you have lost your sense of taste and smell, we need you to focus more on the textures and try and find joy from how things feel in your mouth and what they're like to prepare as well. When you're pulling the aubergines, there's a real kind of lovely kind of like sense of like the fibers and the textures in it. Stuart, how hot do you have the hob? High, medium, or low?
Medium.
It's on a medium heat at the moment.
Yeah. And we can just let that tick over. It's probably going to take like 10 minutes. So if everybody is on top of that job, then we can move on to the next one.
Fantastic. I've no idea how many people are cooking along. Let's see with it. Great. I love what you said there. You said it's about being texture led, and of course that is, you know, if we have our set intact sense of smell, then we would be flavor led, but actually being texture led. I love that as a concept. Very nice. I love those little moments. So yeah, it's brilliant.
I mean, texture. Texture. I'd like to think that there's a kind of, you know, like there's a range of temperatures on this plate as well. There's also it's also when you see the final product, or you know, the final dish, it's very visual as well. You know, there's lots of things going on. It's very colourful and kind of interactive as well. Yeah. So next up we've got the Labneh, which is hopefully you guys have done. We've hung this overnight, and
tell us what that is.
It's formed a very basic type of cheese.
What is that then? What was that?
So this was Greek yogurt last night, and it's had a pinch of salt added to it. It's been stirred and then hung in either a cheesecloth or a J cloth overnight, and that separates the whey's from the curd.
Do you squeeze it out?
No, you don't squeeze it. You just let it do its thing. We want it to be. If you squeeze it out, it could be quite dry and crumbly, a bit like feta cheese.
Fantastic.
Whereas this is sort of smooth enough that we can beat it again, and it will be soft and soft enough that you can scoop up with a flatbread.
Brilliant. And so, can people, if they want to sort of skip that, you can buy Labneh, I think. Can you? It depends where you live in the country and if you've got Turkish. How is it, Harry?
So
right.
So again, it's like it has a very high fat content. It's you're losing some of the juice from it, and again, it's about that sort of mouthfeel. It has like a dense kind of creamy texture. It also losing some of the water brings the acidity up as well. So it's bracing acidity, which again we're going to put a small squeeze of lemon juice in to enhance, and then we're going to grate a garlic clove into there, and that will give it a bit of heat as well.
So just kind of developing on from what Stuart said, I've just tasted some, and actually flavor-wise, it's quite neutral in its flavor. There's definitely a dairy lactic quality to it, but because we've hung it and liquid has been removed from it, it's thickened up. It's got this kind of real mouth covering thing. It sticks to your teeth, the inside of your cheeks. You have to lick it off your teeth, and then whilst you're doing that, you might not be able to detect it. Hopefully you will. My mouth starts to water on the side here and here, and that's the acidity coming in because we've raised the acidity. And for me, that is a really interesting experience in my mouth, and I really hope that people can get that without having to think about whether or not it's got flavor. This is really quite a sensory and a touch feeling in my mouth rather than a conscious perception of flavor.
Fantastic.
So, into this Labneh, we've got some chives, and
chives,
we're going to chop them nice and fine.
That's right.
Chives. Yeah. Again, this is going to give it some herby notes, and also kind of enhance that sort of flavour of garlic as well. It should give it a little bit of bite in terms of heat. Yes, please.
Don't forget to give your aubergine just a little bit of a stir now and again. You don't want it to catch too much on the bottom of the pan.
Fantastic. I had a question in just a few moments ago saying, have you added the garlic and paprika in already to that?
No, but we're going to in just a moment. So Haz, do you want to? So this is kind of getting there now. So yeah, don't be alarmed with the sort of the amount of oil that looks like it's separating off the top. It's kind of it's exactly how we want it. The flesh of the aubergine is starting to kind of become homogeneous with the oil.
You are hitting all the right
so
points. I have a lot of wonderful. I love dishes like that. I might not be. I totally get that the sort of this is the way it is. But if we were to get a question on the lines of saying, is there a low fat version? Oh, really good question.
I mean,
sorry, yeah.
You can do it with less fat. That is entirely optional. And I mean, to my mind, we're serving this with raw vegetables. So in a way, this is like a salad dressing.
Got you. There you go. It's a salad dressing. Where are we at?
Tablespoon or dessert spoon?
That was a dessert spoon.
Dessert spoon
of smoked paprika.
And yeah, once it's at this stage, add a bit of pinch of salt and a squeeze of lemon juice to that. Yeah, and then that's ready to take off. So again, we want to serve this at maybe like while it's slightly lukewarm, so we can leave that in the warm pan until we need it, and hopefully it'll retain some of its heat.
Thank you. Is there garlic in there then at the moment, you said, or not?
So garlic. Garlic was in there.
Is in there? Is it just raw garlic?
So the garlic, so I'm using a zester to zest the garlic into things.
Right.
If you don't have a zester, then it's fine to finely chop it with a knife.
Great, thank you. Plus all the different things we have. I mean, something what we get off garlic is, in terms of just the straight taste profile, it's quite zingy. So something in there, like you're saying about the pepper and mustard, I can really get that as something which should give that.
Actually, I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but sometimes when I'm making ragu or I'm doing a meat-based sauce with Italian cuisine or something like that, I might take whole black peppercorns and I'll boil them. And I might boil them for a very long period of time so they soften. And then you can stir them in whole and eat them whole. And it takes a bit of that power away and that real spice, but you get a really nice popping feeling in your mouth when you crunch into one as well. You get a bit of texture on that as well, and a little bit of like heat and the kind of bite that we're looking for. I think that could be quite a nice addition.
Boiled peppercorns. I'll write that one down.
Okay, so
that one. Yeah, that's a popular one. Quick, John, you said what did you do to the aubergine, John? I don't know if you missed the beginning. I know you had some tech problems, John.
So yeah, we'll finish up on the aubergine now. Go on, Stuart.
So yeah, aubergine we've been cooking it out gently. You've got this kind of slick of red oil in there. That is, we've added garlic, paprika, a pinch of salt, and a squeeze of lemon juice in there, and we're just gonna leave that to cool down to just a shade above room temperature. That's kind of how we want to serve it.
Fantastic.
And again, when it comes to serving it, we're gonna scoop the flesh up and use it as a dip, and then the oil that's left in the pan you can drizzle over the raw vegetables that you have on the plate.
And just having had a little taste of that right now, just from a fork, the things that Stuart was talking about at the beginning was slipperiness, slimy. It's got this real oily, greasy, slick kind of feeling and sensation in your mouth. But you can if you put as much paprika as we have, which is quite a lot, you can really detect the graininess of the paprika as well in your mouth, which is quite nice. It gets caught on your tongue, and then I'm licking it around my mouth and can really feel that in my mouth. Right, we'll jump back into the Labneh.
So yeah, Labneh, I've chopped my chives in there. There's a clove of garlic that's been zested in there, and then also we've got a small squeeze of lemon juice. And then we're using the back of the spoon. We're just going to beat that smooth. Make sure everything's incorporated. And that's done. Is that
Labneh done. That's it done. Now that's that element of this finished.
Sorry, I was on mute. So you talked about that sort of the acidity hit and the way it sort of sticks onto the gums a little bit. And so in there has gone this really. Tell us about the sort of taste profile you're getting that and the texture profile.
Yeah, I mean, it's if anyone's ever tried Boursin cheese, it's kind of quite similar, like herby, garlicky, and it has that sort of cream cheese finish, or cream cheese texture. Yeah, like super creamy. It like coats the inside of your mouth. Yeah, it's like high fat content, but also very tart as well.
Fantastic.
I think a nice thing to think about whilst you're eating as well, if you have a small perception of flavor or sense within your mouth, is the position of that flavor or the position of the texture in your mouth as you're naturally eating it. So like greens and veggies and things like that will often need to be chewed quite hard down, like lettuce leaves in the side of your mouth, and they congregate around there. But when you have this kind of very lactic, very thick quality in your mouth, it gets coated around the top. And I found the position of it sits very much at the back of my throat, which is something that can start heightening your perceptions of what, like your new relationship with food, or try and increase the relationship that you have with food already. Now we are going with.
Yeah, we're going to move swiftly on to the Tabouleh, which I'm hoping you guys have all have some couscous, which has been rehydrated with some raisins in there. Yeah, we're going to add that to the mixing bowl. And then we've also got some walnuts, which we've candied prior to this. And the walnuts, I want to keep them quite chunky. Again, it's really focusing on the kind of the satisfying textures, the kind of crunch, the chewiness, like sweet flavors.
The like fluffiness of the couscous as well. So this is really a contrast in textures that we've got here, with the couscous being fluffy. The nuts are crunchy and sharp, but there's also sugar quality to them as well, which you should hopefully be able to detect sugar as a feeling in your mouth as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So it's the candied walnuts going into just a plain couscous. Was there anything else in the couscous as well?
The couscous was rehydrated with boiling water, and there was a handful of raisins in there as well. Right. So it was, to hark back to the recipe, it was 50 grams of couscous for 25 grams of raisins, and then 75 grams of candied walnuts. And into that we are, I've got a bunch of parsley, flat parsley. I'm going to use about half a bunch. Again, it's all about the herbs. So yeah, don't hold back with the herbs. I've got about half a bunch of mint there as well. We're going to roughly pick it down. And, this may take a while. So if you have any questions,
what I thought was really cool, and when Stuart and I were talking about the different elements of this, and we thought a mezze was a really nice thing, because a mezze is a collection or a kind of assortment of different ingredients or dishes that you eat with your hands. You really get involved with it on quite a physical level, as well as a taste level. But this particular one with the couscous, I love the fact that there's got raisins in it, and then the sugar on the nuts as well. Before I even ate this or started talking to Stu about it, I was picturing myself picking it out of my teeth, it getting stuck in and around my mouth, and that kind of that being part of like how you eat this dish and what this dish is about. And these are things that when you've got a sense of taste and smell, or you're sitting with friends, those are things that you kind of take for granted. But if you can kind of start kind of reintroducing yourself to foods or finding foods that have certain effects on you. I think that there could be a lot of joy to be had out of things like that.
Yeah,
thank you. And that comes as sorry to cut across, but Brigitte asked the question about, is this to help get the senses back, Brigitte? You know, really what this is about is to say, put our attention on all the other experiences that we have. You know, and it's a really key part of what we do at Fifth Sense. Yes, we do need to, you know, keep a sense for people who get the possibility of recovery of their sense of taste and smell. And there are some that currently there isn't science to be able to do that. And there are many that can face it and be looking to recovery. Work on the recovery, we'll support you with that. But at the same time, making sure we keep our attention on all of the aspects of the eating experience, because it's a very... It's so much that happens there, like you just said, picked out, and love that. Just having, even just sort of choosing to have something that stays in your teeth at the end of it. Brilliant. I've lost the chef cam. What's going on?
We've lost it, have we?
Oh. I've lost the chef cam. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Was,
there it is. If you just tilt it again, that's it. Perfect.
Just trying to minimize my battery.
So I'm almost there.
Tell us about the herbs you got there. That looks like a lovely mixture.
Yeah, so I mean, we've gone for probably 2 parts flat parsley to 1 part mint, which I mean, yeah, it's fairly normal for like a tabouleh. Dill or coriander would also be acceptable. Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of very much about the texture and the sort of mouthfeel of it, or the kind of really herby salads. Yeah, I mean, tarragon as well at a push would probably work quite well.
Well, mint has a brilliant one of the trigeminal nerve, which is a really important pathway. Is that one you've come across? It's the nerve which is triggered through mint, horseradish, mustard, eucalyptus. It's a different nerve pathway, and mint triggers that. So actually, mint is a brilliant one that gives us wasabi. Amanda's adding on as well. Mint is something that gives people with anosmia a very strong sensation, and that's part of the deal. And it's a sensation that happens around here, and it's one that people can find really pleasurable if it open to them. So, brilliant.
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah. So again, a really sharp knife helps with this immensely. Yeah, keeping it
great.
Keeping it all in distinct pieces. Yeah, what we're looking for is a sort of we want it to be roughly chopped. I don't want to go too fine.
Because we'd lose texture at that point, of course. So great. Yeah. Nice. Because we get a bit of crunch from the herbs, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Woodiness.
Yeah. So yeah.
Stuart, I'm really with you. I'm in the experience. Harry, I'm really with you. I'm sort of in the experience of all these different bits and bobs in there. Great.
Yeah. So again,
I think also the cool thing about Mezze is that, you know, you can go online and look up a whole load of other different recipes or different suggestions for it as well, and just keep trying things until you find one that you get the best reaction to, or that you get the biggest kick out of, really. So Stu, what have you done there?
I've just dressed it in a wee bit of olive oil, again, a small pinch of salt, and a squeeze of lemon juice, and then we'll leave it at that. Again, I mean, I think if we'd had a bit more time to play with, I maybe would have done some crispy, or some very sticky like fried onions on this as well to garnish it. But yeah, maybe for another time.
Yeah, I mean, that does sound really good.
Nice, got crunch and sweetness and lovely, brilliant.
Well, what are we doing now?
So that's all of your dips for all of the things that we're going to scoop up. That's all done. So next up, we are going to prepare the vegetables for our crudités. So again, like a lot of the ingredients we've already gone through, they're kind of interchangeable. And again, it's more about the texture. So I've got in here you've got cucumbers, radishes, lettuces, and some asparagus, which I know I haven't put on the ingredients list, but it's kind of first of the season and I couldn't resist. So really it works with lots of different vegetables. The only sort of prevailing rule is that it has to be crunchy, or something that's gonna hold up to scooping things up with and has a bit of crunch to it. So in the winter you could go with carrots and fennel, or kind of cabbage hearts, purple sprouting broccoli. There's multiple options. Anyway, let's crack on. We'll crack on. So a trick that we use in the restaurant is that prior to serving vegetables, to make them sort of have that sort of crunch of vegetables just been picked, we'll quite often refresh them in iced water, and that gives a really kind of satisfying snap or crunch to whatever you're serving on the plate. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to keep the we'll keep it quite rough. It's up to you how you want to prepare your crudités. But yeah, this cucumber, so we'll cut that into nice chunky wedges. I've got some ice water in the fridge.
Really nice thing about the dropping them into ice water afterwards is not only does it kind of preserve that crunch or seem to kind of intensify it, but also it drops the temperature of the vegetable as well. So you've got that as a stark contrast to the room temperature or slightly warm ingredients that we've made earlier on. So once you start dipping those into your tabouleh or the couscous, you'll notice the difference in temperature between the two things. And that's something else that we can focus on that isn't directly linked to aroma profiles and flavor profiles as well.
Brilliant. I love here how much you're putting in. It's almost like in what you're saying is almost the balance in between the textures and the other perceptions, and also the basic tastes as well. It's fantastic. Just while you're doing that, just a quick question was, how much cumin in the tabouleh?
In the tabouleh, I've dusted the nuts with a little bit of ground cumin, and I mean it's entirely up to you. I mean I've put about half a teaspoon of cumin seeds through the couscous, but again, if it's something that you're struggling to detect, I definitely double it. It's not gonna spoil it. If you do that,
you can never have too much cumin.
Yeah.
Right, so that was asparagus into the ice.
Yeah.
Just the tops of those. What's next, Stu?
So we've got gem lettuce again. So I mean, what we do at the restaurant is we'll hold on to these kind of outer leaves for salads. So yeah, we take the outer leaves off. Save them for another time, and then we'll trim the stem off, and then we just cut it into wedges. So very neatly. Split it down the middle. Any kind of half leaves, like that, raggedy bits like that, again, we'll put that with our leaves that we're saving for a salad another day. And then we're going to split that into nice wedges.
Nice.
And then last up, we've got some radishes. So I think I recommended half a dozen of these, didn't I? There or thereabouts. So again, we're just going to split them down the middle.
Radishes are quite a weird vegetable, I think. Or don't you think? Like there's kind of, they kind of look like apples. They're really white inside. There is a bitterness to them. A pepperiness to them as well. They're kind of spicy. at the same time, which, yeah, there's a lot of pleasure you can get from eating a radish, I think, because it does feel so fresh.
So I've got this. That veg is going to sit in the ice water now. The last bit we have to do for this mezze is we're going to make an anchovy and garlic oil that we're going to rub all over that flatbread when it comes out of the pan. So hopefully you've got a couple of cloves of garlic here.
Fantastic reminder. Lovely conversation happening in the chat box. Any questions, do pop them in. Any comments?
Yeah, it's really enjoying reading the comments, guys. It's really nice to kind of see, as has been discussed, about people talking about ingredients and food, and not just focusing on the flavors and what you can and can't taste.
So
what are you doing with these? So this is the anchovy and garlic oil.
Yeah. So again, I'm going to crush this.
We managed to get one fish into it.
So this is this part of the mezze is I suppose highlighting umami, which, if you've not heard of umami before, is a sort of a sense of savouriness in the mouth. And one of the things I really like about eating bread that maybe I hadn't realised before having COVID was that kind of Moorishness, especially when it's sort of paired with something salty, like, kind of maybe a sliver of ham or a piece of blue cheese, or or a pizza with anchovies on. And so this is so really we're just we're sweating this garlic down and caramelizing it, which creates a certain amount of umami, and then we're going to stick some salted anchovies in, which are kind of real turbo boosters, and we'll warm the whole lot through, mash it with the back of it with a fork, so it's essentially all the anchovies are broken down into the oil. And then when we've cooked these flatbreads, we're just going to slather that oil all over them, and then a bit of chopped parsley on it to finish it off. I can't remember. I think I've maybe said oregano on them as well in my instructions. I've absent-mindedly forgotten.
I don't think anyone's gonna kick off. So let's do this.
Garlic. We could just leave the garlic out of this, couldn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is completely. It's not reliant upon garlic to be nice. You can definitely. I think the key to it is it's umami flavors. And if there's any vegetarians out there that don't eat anchovies, I mean, there's a smear of Marmite would work. Like something. Something that kind of has that umami is going to make that bread even more Moorish than it is already.
I'm still trying this one afterwards.
So,
how many cloves is that, Stu?
So that was 2 plump cloves, but that was 1 plump clove and two small ones. So.
Great, and then he's just kind of squeezing that down with the knife as well.
Yeah,
that's kind of mashing it up and getting some of the oils out of it.
So, looking forward to getting back in the kitchen.
Again, we're going to do that with a good glug of oil.
That's going to go good glug of oil into a pan, and then the anchovies in with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so everything in together. So again, I've got salted anchovies here. Which I think is kind of important to mention. Like the pickled ones just won't do in this particular dish.
Yeah, people are generally kind of one or the other, aren't they, with anchovies? Like,
Yeah.
Well, they're totally different things. I went to a pizzeria once and they put pickled anchovies on because they ran out of salted.
On the
this is
pizza, guys.
horrible. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. I was like, come on, it's a different ingredient. But both
call
are
themselves
absolutely
pizza chefs.
wonderful. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're right in my sort of sweet zone of things that I love and enjoy. And that thing you said about bread and the sort of Moorishness, I totally get that. Totally.
Yeah, bread is such a culturally significant dish all over the world, and probably more so than it is here. And I think kind of like tearing it and sharing it and making sure that you're doing that's part of the ritual of bread sharing and bread eating.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Stuart, are you looking forward to being back in the kitchen then?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I've been in kind of full-time childcare with a toddler. So I've discovered which one's the frying pan and which one's the fire. So yeah, I'll be delighted to be back in the kitchen.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we're just going to have that on a medium heat until the garlic starts to caramelize.
Carol, just picking up your point there about colour in your food. It's really another key one as well.
Fantastic, thank you. I guess. So we kind of reached the end of the once this anchovy oil is ready, we've reached the end of the prep jobs that we've got for this mezze, and at that point, we rather than cook these flatbreads, we're going to pause on doing the mezze. We're going to make your pavlova. So that's ready to go as soon as you've finished eating your mezze. And then once we've plated the pavlova, we can come back to the mezze, cook your flatbreads, and then we can leave you to it. So yeah, this chili, again, this anchovy oil, if you're that way inclined, you're welcome to put a pinch of chili flakes in as well. That's also kind of, definitely something I could recommend.
Well, you've given so many ideas. I mean, there's such a go-to. I just love the number of different approaches we've got to add on to that. But yeah, by all means, bit of chili in there as well. Nice place to put it in on the flatbread. I can see that.
So guys, we're getting close to this being as you want it. I don't know if you can get a good look at that. There's sort of the garlic's starting to take on a little bit of colour, and those anchovies are starting to melt down into the oil. Yeah, if you want. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's
how you want that.
That is exactly how you want it. So it's kind of
lovely. So a little bit of colour on it.
Garlic's golden brown. You don't. Yeah, you want to resist the temptation of taking it too far, because we're going to take that off the heat and it'll carry on cooking and yeah. I mean,
and then too far it goes bitter and it's not a
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a kind of universal sensation, a bad sensation is burnt garlic.
It's not a fun bitter.
Now we're doing pavlova, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna segue over to the dessert. So hopefully, I gave a very generous recipe for the meringues intentionally, because there's never enough never enough meringue in the world. If there's spare ones, then I'm almost certain that they'll all get hoovered up.
Todd will like them, yeah.
Yeah, we've
But again, if people don't want to go to this point, I mean, I have to say, I tried some shop bought meringues the other day, and they're not bad.
They're not bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think you maybe miss out on like some of the Pavlova, or the way we've made these meringues. They're sort of designed to be slightly undercooked in the middle, so it's like a range of textures. So they kind of crack on the outside, yet they're slightly marshmallowy in the middle. Whereas the shop bought ones are sort of all dried out, and they sort of have a nice crunch, and they dissolve on the tongue. So there's a lot of kind of sensory cool stuff going on. I mean, I have no objections to if you don't have the time to cook your own meringues.
No, I do get that. No, if you're going to go for the chew, then yeah, definitely. Very nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, at this point, we're going to do really, really quick whipped cream. So.
Oh, see, that's really great news that they came out well. I'm really pleased. The recipe stood up well, Stu. Sue's meringues come out really well. It's the first time making them.
Oh, fantastic!
It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think it can be a bit daunting making meringues. I think there's a perception that they're really tricky, but I think the basics are you stick to the principles of thorough. Generally, I think it's down to thorough cleaning of all your equipment. Any traces of grease, and then they start misbehaving.
Do you use a stand mixer?
I did, but I do, but I didn't for this lot. Okay. I used a whisk in it. Making sure all the recipes work.
How long will this take?
So this shouldn't take too long. It should take a minute or so.
But your arm should hurt.
I'm obviously out of shape. It's been a long time since I've whipped anything.
So that's just. Sorry, I was catching up on messages and stuff. So that's just cream, is it?
That's just double cream. I mean, you are welcome to put a teaspoon of sugar in there if you must, but I think there's enough sugary things on the plate already. So I tend not to. And again, we're keeping an eye on this all the time, making sure as soon as the texture starts to change, then we're not taking it too far.
I'm just trying to work out what Sarah was asking. I think you would so you couldn't find tartar. Is there anything you can use as a substitute?
This is generally the task that we give the young men that have only just started working for us in the kitchen. People with very little experience, often made to whisk 4 or 5 times this amount.
They've got to work their muscles out.
Just to prove their dexterity and their commitment to the cause.
Just a quick question: cream of tartar. If you can't get it, do you need it? Does it just help?
Sorry, we had missed
cream of tartar in your meringues recipe.
Yeah, I mean,
Sarah was saying she couldn't find it. Is there anything else you can use, or just drop it?
Some people use vinegar. Yes, I don't actually know. I think it's a stabilizing ingredient, and actually you don't need it, but it gives you like a slightly better chance of them not collapsing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no, you can do it without, and so long as everything's kind of meticulously cleaned, it should work. But I think people use it as a kind of safety net to make their meringues whole. Great. Exactly the same with the corn flour as well. They're unnecessary ingredients, but they're ones that sort of make it a bit more idiot-proof.
Got you.
Anyway, you can see the double cream is starting to thicken up now. We don't want to take it too much further than this. We want it to be soft and spoonable. Yeah, so that's kind of as you want it.
Great.
So yeah, now yeah, I want a nice generous dollop of whipped cream in the kind of impression that you've made in the middle. And then, sorry, using the back of the spoon, we're going to make an impression in that. These passion fruit. So again, we're just going to scoop the flesh out. And
tell us about these choices you've made again. Just I think I can see why, but why have you gone for these ones?
Again, it's a sort of it's a play on like really zingy acidic flavors, and then the sort of like spectrum of textures as well. So the idea is essentially you've got passion fruit there to make your mouth water, and then you've kind of got the meringue there to kind of dissolve in your salivating mouth afterwards. But you know, with kind of hopefully with a couple of other, you know, like the stickiness of the ginger and the like cold sorbet. Yeah, and then hopefully there's a bit of luxury in there with the double cream as well for mouthfeel.
Great.
Yeah, you've got
crunch, chew, sweetness, creaminess.
Yeah, hopefully I've touched all the bases.
Acidity, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, that's quite slimy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, there's kind of lots of things going on, and hopefully that's kind of makes it really interesting to eat. If you your sense of smell or taste has been impaired.
Brilliant.
So yeah, we've got this sticky stem ginger. Again, I'm going to dice that. Again, it's down to personal taste how finely you want to dice it. I quite like chunks in there, so you've got chewy things, like you've got bits, chewy things with a bit of fire in there that kind of get stuck in your teeth.
Yeah.
Harry, I like your quality control you're doing in the background.
Don't taste it all.
Yeah.
We do. That is a really unusual thing to eat, sticky stem ginger. I don't know if anyone's ever kind of like eaten that on the regular, but that is quite a strange thing.
Yeah, so again, we're going to just dot that around.
I mean, I think ginger's a lovely heat to explore because it hasn't got that sort of there's a very difference between a chili heat and a ginger heat, isn't there? There's something very warming and luxurious about ginger.
Yeah, it's very gentle.
And then you get this syrup that the ginger comes in, again, which has its own kind of heat, like fieriness, but again, it's kind of really sticky and sweet and moreish, and we're just going to kind of drizzle that around the plate. Right. Yeah, so last bit to this.
Yeah.
We've got some sorbet. So essentially, again, what we're looking for is the kind of zingy sorbet. So I realised I told you guys to get lemon or lime. I've actually got a grapefruit one here, but it works equally well. The idea is something cold, something refreshing and zingy, and we're just taking a scoop of that and plopping it on top, and that's your pavlova.
That is one
cool,
beautifully designed pavlova.
Although,
for people
please note, if you are cooking this along and eating it right now, top tip: don't put your sorbet on now.
Yeah.
Because once you've eaten your savoury stuff, it's going to melt by the time. Or quickly stick it in the freezer. Do that as the last thing you do if this is your meal this evening, and you're going to eat the mezze first. But that is good to go and ready. Whoop, where is it? There. And now we're going to do the flatbreads.
There's so much information around, and I'm just sort of recognise I'm missing words because I'm looking at chat box and back again. The sorbet was not on the original list, was it, that you sent over? Or was it? So the sorbet flavour was what? Well, what sorbet flavour was it again? Raspberry.
That was grapefruit.
Grapefruit. Got you.
But yeah, I think I put my instructions to do lemon or lime sorbet. But I guess it so long as it has a tartness to it, that's the main thing.
Stay with the tartness on that one. Great.
Yeah, I mean, if it's coconut sorbet, it probably won't work as well.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's the flatbread dough that I hope you've all kind of made. I've knocked all of the air out of it by taking it out. Yeah, that's kind of yeah, not the end of the world. We're going to split that into 4 pieces. And yeah, we're going to roll it in your hands, and then really roughly, maybe a little bit of oil on your work surface, and that'll stop it sticking. And then using your fingers, we're just going to press it out. Now I've got a frying pan on a high heat here, and we're not going to put any oil in the frying pan. We're just going to make sure the outside of the flatbread has been oiled slightly, and provided it's hot enough, it should not stick. So yeah, hopefully.
Great, simple as that. Just with your fingers, no rolling pin on that.
Exactly. Yeah, you can use a rolling pin if you want. I quite like the uneven nature of using your fingers. Yeah, it creates kind of interesting textures, and yeah, like, you know, parts that char and puff up, and then some parts are sort of doughy and yeah.
How do you know what to flip it?
So, I mean, by the way, guys, you should probably whack an extractor fan on if you haven't already, because this will make quite a bit of smoke. But yeah, it is thankfully it is yeah, a quick process. So yeah, you'll notice it. Yeah, when it starts to char around the edges, then we'll flip it over. But yeah, right now, sort of, yeah. In the meantime, we can get the other ones rolled out.
Amanda, I eat chili chocolate every day. Mild chili powder and hot chocolate. Something about ginger in tea, anything I dislike. Oh, interesting. Other way around for you.
Yeah.
Do you use any yeast in this?
Yeah, so it does have yeast in. I realised that irony of doing a flatbread with yeast in. Yeah, it's my personal taste. I kind of yeah, I prefer a flatbread that has kind of yeah, bubbles in it and char and kind of a little bit of air in it, opposed to something more resembling a pita bread. But that's just my taste. You can do this without yeast in if yeasting it is too much of a faff.
Got you.
So yeah, that's probably ready to flip now.
Now I keep asking for shortcuts just because I think, you know, over the next few weeks people are just going to go out and spend less time in the kitchen.
I mean, the shortcuts
this is one we
could from the shops. Yeah,
we could get. There's some very good flatbreads on sale.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, depending where you live, I mean, on where you live, I mean, you can buy really good. You can buy really good stuff in the, you know, substitutes in the supermarket now. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like my kind of tip would be to locate your closest Turkish bakery. I'm kind of from North London. There's a lot of Turkish bakeries and stuff like that, but often you can find some incredible flatbreads. So all you need to do is just like bang them in the oven, and they're also really cheap as well. Yeah. There is something to be said about making the dough yourself. It is really nice. Again, sensory experience.
Fair point. Good. Yeah. You know what? I mean, I'm a bread maker. I've been, you know, I make all of our bread at home, and that's a really good point. Of course, I love bread for that reason. It's a live activity, which gives me a really strong connection with food.
So these breads are coming off now. Yeah. Into a tray and extra brush. That's the question. It's not a spoon. So yeah, so we're going to use that anchovy oil and absolutely smear it all over. Yeah, just leave that to kind of soak in while it's warm.
We just load up one.
Yeah, and then so flip this guy over and then we'll stop plating up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So that's just going to soak a little bit into the bread while you're.
Yeah, always. I mean, the second one always works better than the first one.
Yeah,
got a bit more heat in that pan, but that's that's sort of ready to go now.
But that anchovy oil will just sink into the bread because it's hot. It's going to suck it in.
Exactly. Yeah, it kind of soaks in a wee bit. Yeah, and there you go. Pinch of chili powder on there for the for the chili freaks.
Lovely.
Right then, and so so icing vegetables. So yeah, we're going to shake off the excess water out of these lettuces. Again, I've put a tray down here with a little bit of kitchen paper to soak up any excess water. How's it looking on that side?
Yeah, it's looking all right.
Right then.
And then what are you going to do with all these? Lay them out on these kind of
pots? Yeah, the idea is to. The idea is to get a. I think. Yeah, my personal view is to. Mezze is kind of really great for sharing. So yeah, normally we use a big plate. So use one of them. So yeah, we're going to we'll start to arrange everything now. So yeah, tabouleh. Some of this aubergine.
And I don't know about everyone else, but I'm going through all of that layering of textures, mouthfeel, crunch, the salt, sweet, sour, bitter balances that you put in there, and each piece of this coming in, the richness on that place is just fantastic. Colour, thanks, Christine. I am actually slightly colourblind as well, so it's not the first thing I go to. I do have to remind myself of thinking about that.
Here we have the red, the red coming in now as well.
Yeah,
it's a really vibrant and fresh looking plate of food as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely one that you sort of you know exactly what you're getting yourself into before you start eating it. It looks fresh and packed with life.
And when you're plating it, Stu, what do you think about when you're kind of like assembling? I see the way you're assembling all the vegetables and the asparagus going in certain directions.
Yeah, listen, plate it any way you want. I mean, like, if symmetry is more your thing, I try. I suppose I'm hardwired into making things look asymmetric and kind of dotting things around so it sort of looks a bit
but it's nice there. There's a real kind of, for me, looking at it, there's quite a lot of energy going through with the asparagus spears. They seem to be taking parallel lines with the.
I mean, I suppose the idea is to kind of make it look, like a. yeah, natural, or not too uniform, natural, but tidy. So yeah, so all your raw veg there. Now that kind of slick of kind of bronze oil that you've got, we're going to take a big spoon of that, and we're going to dress all those vegetables with it. So,
lovely. That was from the aubergine then, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and that's it. We're kind of reached the end of the line. In fact, actually, tell you what, let's chop these flatbreads up and do that.
Yeah. That pan's still on.
I'll turn the pan off, but you
I'll do the rest of those flatbreads.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear in the chat box, what's your thoughts about this dish? What's a bit of it that really grabbed you? What's a texture that was suddenly like you haven't thought about before? Love to, because there's been so many different reactions here. We'd love to hear just what is it specifically about this plate that we've seen up in front of us being built and created that really grabs your attention?
Yeah, there you go. Definitely, yeah, definitely one going into the summer that it'd be great to recreate for a warm evening with a bottle of crisp rosé.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Lucy's saying sensory overload just watching it reminds me of evenings in Crete. So important as well, like he was just saying as well, that sort of connection to food to the time of year is really key. And so I guess eating that fresh food at springtime also just gives us a strong connection to the food, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right, and then I'll touch ever so quickly on wine and what you might drink with something like this. So for example, when I was obviously, like, drink is a big part of my job, and so when I was suffering with no sense of it at all, I upped the alcohol. I know it sounds a bit kind of self-destructive, but I reached for, the first thing I thought of was like sweet rum or bourbon, because bourbon's got that stickiness as well, and you can feel the heat of the alcohol. I wouldn't recommend that everyone starts necking bottles of rum and bourbon, but I'd probably suggest looking at something like a Manzanilla sherry. It's bone dry, it's got zero acidity, so it's flat, and it feels almost kind of like almost like dead in your mouth, and that's quite an interesting thing to feel when you're eating cold veggies and things that are quite vibrant and very alive. So that's another contrast to look at. So sherries, or otherwise we were thinking about like something very chilled, so like sparkling wine, for example, with the texture. That's something you can focus on, something you can maybe start getting a little bit more of. And one of the actual drinks that I got the most out of was stout. And I really enjoyed Guinness, and that was the only real like actual beverage that I could kind of stomach. Was I had a Guinness on Christmas Day because I'd lost my sense of taste then, and that had a mouth coating feel. It filled me up as well. It felt pretty wholesome. Yeah, guys, we just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. We've really enjoyed it. Tom,
thanks for all your lovely feedback as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Brilliant. Sorry, yeah.
I was just going to say, for those of you that are making a trip into London, live here or whatever, please come visit us. We're based in Paddington, just by the station. Drop us an email or something like that and let us know that you're coming down. We'd love to say hi.